So I was going through social media this morning and I saw a post with someone saying that a particular individual deserves a second chance.
New day, new drama in South Africa. According to new reports, Kelly Khumalo was dragged out of church after priest claims herbalists are not permitted inside church. Please subscribe to this channel as you watch. At an unexpected and very controversial turn of events, the singer, actress, and media personality in South Africa, Kelly Khumalo, found herself in an intensive conflict center during the last church service. The situation escalated when a priest accused her of participating in practices that are not compatible with the teachings and beliefs of the church. This led to the exit of Khumalo from the place of worship after a priest announced that the grass, such as Khumalo, was not allowed to attend the services of the church. Kelly Khumalo, who is famous for her musical talent and her oldest personality, was attending the church service in Gauteng when the quarrel occurred. The service was taking place in a famous local church known as a vibrant group and its strict commitment to the religious belief. According to eyewitnesses, the moment of conflict occurred when Khumalo, who was known to publicly convert to African spirituality and worship of the ancestors, was identified by the priest. According to what was reported, the priest became clearly angry when realizing that Khumalo was present in the church, as her association with traditional healing practices and her explicit support for herbs made her a somewhat controversial figure in some religious circles. While sitting in the group, it was claimed that the priest was transferred to the pulpit and made a public statement, saying that the vehicles and those who participate in such practices were not welcome in the church. His comments were said directly to Khumalo, who was at the time to attend the service quietly. At the heart of this conflict is long-term tension between the traditional African beliefs and the prevailing religious institutions, especially Christianity. While many African societies continue to practice the herb, worship of grandparents, and other original forms of healing, some religious leaders view these practices as contradictory to the teachings of the Bible. According to the Christian belief, especially in the most conservative branches, any form of dependence on spiritual or physical recovery that does not come directly from God is wrong or heretical. In this case, the priest's accusations seemed rooted in these doctrinal concerns. Khumalo, a well-known supporter of alternative medicine, is often seen in general eyes that participate with practices related to traditional African recovery methods. Her audio support for herbs, which is the discipline that depends on the use of plants and natural treatments to treat various diseases, causes them to love it by some sectors of the public in South Africa. This tension was crowned with the church's accident, as the priest explicitly linked it to the practice of the herb and sought to keep it away from service, noting the religious faith. The accident left many spectators in shock. While the priest was reported that the security personnel ordered the removal of Kelly Khumalo from the church, tensions began to rise. Khumalo, known for its extreme independence and challenging it in the face of general scrutiny, did not kindly prefer the priest's request. Eyewitnesses claimed that Khumalo initially tried to think about the priest, quietly explained her existence, and affirming her right to attend service, regardless of her personal beliefs. However, the priest remained steadfast, accusing her of bringing shame to the church by linking diabolical practices. In the following interviews, Kelly Khumalo expressed disappointment in the way she was treated, describing the experience as very insulting and harmful. She emphasized that her presence in the church was an attempt to interact with her faith, and she felt that it was not fair that any person would be removed or broken because of their personal spiritual practices. Khumalo indicated that religion and spirituality are personal options, and that its belief in African spirituality and herbs did not deny its right to worship in a Christian environment. The incident sparked an immediate debate throughout South Africa, as people moved to social media to express their opinions on this issue. Several supporters of Khumalo gathered behind her, which led to the priest's actions as discriminatory and disagreement. They argued that the church should be a place to include, not exclusion, and that people should be allowed to express their spiritual beliefs without fear of judgment or persecution. For them, the incident was seen as another example of intolerance within certain religious societies towards African traditional practices. On the other hand, some religious groups and individuals supported the actions of the priest, on the pretext that he simply supported the teachings of the church. They have emphasized that the Bible explicitly condemns practices such as herbs and the worship of grandparents, and that any form of spirituality that differs from Christian principles is not compatible with the church environment. For them, the priest fulfilled his duty to protect the sanctity and purity of the church. At the heart of this controversy, there is a long discussion about the intersection of traditional African practices and organized religion. African spirituality, which includes the worship of grandparents, herbal, and other original healing practices, often marginalized by the prevailing religious institutions, especially Christianity. This tension between traditional African beliefs and the Western forms of Christianity is not a new phenomenon. It was present for centuries. For many Africans, especially in rural areas, traditional healing and spiritual practices are deeply inherent in their cultural identity and their daily lives. These practices are often seen as complementary, rather than conflict with other spiritual forms, including Christianity. However, as shown in the Khumalo case, individuals who embrace these traditional practices can sometimes find themselves unlike religious leaders who view beliefs as incompatible with Christian teachings. The incident with Khumalo highlights the ongoing conflict for acceptance and respect for African spirituality in a rapidly modern world. It raises important questions about the role of religion in shaping personal identity and how modern South Africa moves between their original cultural heritage and religious affiliations. The incident, which included Kelly Khumalo, sparked calls for a broader conversation about inclusiveness and respect for diversity in religious spaces. While the church is undoubtedly a place to worship, it is also a society, and it must be guided by the treatment of individuals within this society with the principles of love, mercy, and mutual respect. Many have called for a more open approach to spirituality, which recognizes the diversity of beliefs within the South African society.